Hi, I'm Mark, and this is Let's Vibe, the channel all about crystals and our feelings. So, in this video, I really just felt like talking about some things and sharing some things. I do have my Smokey Quartz with me. Smokey Quartz has been a really very supportive crystal, especially during difficult periods, rough times, emotionally challenging times. I find Smokey Quartz to be very stabilizing, it's very grounding, it's protective, and it helps lift the energy, it helps raise the vibrations. And the reason I wanted to talk and the reason I'm drawn to this Smokey Quartz is because the last couple days have been very challenging emotionally. And I've been thinking about how, a couple weeks ago or a week and a half ago, I made a video on here and shared about some of my spiritual expansion or maybe awakening type experiences. And I actually ended up, I did have kind of another similar kind of experience last week Thursday. But it wasn't quite as intense as the one before, the one that I shared in my in that video. It's the video about gold and sharing my authentic self. But last week Thursday, I was once again at my friend's place hanging out, and I was just getting some visuals, some images in my mind. I saw a moth, and it felt like, I think both moths and butterflies both represent transformation, but the moth has a different vibe to it. It's I don't know. It just, the moth kind of seems like it has maybe a slightly darker energy. Not bad, but just a darker kind of energy about it. But what was really coming to mind as I was seeing this moth was just an energy of weirdness, being strange, being different, being very authentic, even if it is strange, or even if it seems dark or comes across to others as dark or weird, uncomfortable. And then I got an image of a baby, and I felt like I was seeing myself as a baby. And it wasn't just seeing a baby. I was seeing this baby and seeing how, a baby, a newborn, can't provide for itself in any way. And so I was seeing like the universe, spirit, providing for this baby and taking care of it. And it just brought to mind my own process and growth in the area of um, letting go of control, letting go of trying to control things in my environment, trying to control the events, how events unfold or what events unfolds, and many other things. Trying to control money in my life, trying to control my money and control when money comes in and how much goes out and things like that. And it made me think about how much I've been learning, and especially in the last few months, about releasing that control. And it's felt like letting go on deeper and deeper levels, and to the point where it really is very uncomfortable and sometimes scary. And I'm really talking about very subtle levels of control, energetic chords, and, recognizing subtle energies attached to me in areas where I'm trying to control things, and learning how to release on a subtle energetic level. And I was realizing, I've been realizing in the last week or so that, the last 2 weeks, I realized that I'd really been holding on to the energy around me. And it sounds kind of strange and nebulous, but I just had this very subtle sense that I was holding on. I was trying to hold on to like the fabric of reality around me. And I felt like that was a very, very old survival type of instinctual reaction that I've had for most of my life, if not all of my life. I see that as a response to traumatic experiences, very painful experiences, very frightening experiences that I had in the past. And on a deep level, on a very energetic level, I was gripping the energy around me, gripping the fabric of my reality in a sense. And it's not like I could control everything by doing that, but that was still, that's what was going on energetically within me. I was holding on to everything, and so with that realization, I was able to release that grip again on an energetic level, on a mental and emotional level, which felt like an immediate expansion. It felt, once I let go of that grip on my reality, it felt like I suddenly allowed things to expand. I allowed myself to expand. I allowed my worlds to expand, the energy around me to expand, and really, like, I kept getting this image of a parachute opening up and being filled with air. and all of that felt good. All of that, I was happy about that. I felt like I had some kind of breakthrough with that, and I felt like, um, yeah, I felt like that was a very good step forward and a positive change, um, energetically, spiritually, and all that. And in the last couple of days, yesterday specifically, I had a great day on Saturday. Yeah, a pretty good day. It was fun. I had some fun with some friends. Got together with a bunch of friends and had a lot of good food and drinks, and it was a great time. And Sunday morning, something small had happened. I mean, it kind of, something happened that kind of triggered some anxiety, like very early in the morning, like right when I woke up. And it turned out to not be anything. Like, it turned out to not be a big deal. But it shook me just enough that I was like, I really felt off. I felt really shaken. And I was thinking to myself, like, I was lying in bed that morning, just thinking to myself, like, why do I feel so unsteady all of a sudden? Like, what? It just, this anxiety just came out. And then I was going about my day, and it was going fine. I was feeling a little uneasy, but I went about my day. And then by the afternoon, it was just like everything just kind of crumbled, and my emotional state went way down. Crying, lots of anger coming out, just like this downward dive. And just the night before, I had been feeling good. It wasn't just feeling good. On Saturday, I'd been feeling like I was really feeling in tune with it's kind of hard to describe it, but it was like, I've mentioned in previous videos, there's some things that I've been working on manifesting. Some of them small, some of them big, but I've been working on manifesting a lot of things. And part of that manifestation process and part of that work involves moving with the flow and releasing, like I was talking about releasing just a few minutes ago, releasing control, moving in the flow, and not being in that state of wanting or needing whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. And yes, of course, you do want it and you do desire it, but in the process of manifesting, you don't want to constantly be in that state of desiring, because that only reinforces the not having. When you get into a really strong state of wanting and desiring something, you're basically saying, you're telling yourself, you're telling the universe that you don't have it. And that's why you're wanting it so bad. So Saturday, I was really feeling in tune, very much in alignment with it, being in the flow, listening to that intuition, moving in accordance with that, my own inner voice. and releasing that any kind of neediness, releasing that wanting, releasing a feeling of lack. And it was like, I just, it was a feeling of like balance between my desire and my present moment reality, and being in tune with spirit, with intuition, with the flow. And it was a really interesting energy to be in. It was a very interesting experience. It felt very good. It felt very stable, and it just felt like a good place to be. And so I was feeling really good about that. And and then the next day, bam, this little thing happens. This relatively inconsequential thing happens, and my anxiety is just triggered from the get-go. And then I just feel like everything's out of whack. And I'd also been experiencing some crown chakra expansion, crown chakra activation. My crown area just felt very active. Like there was just a lot of energy moving through that chakra. But yeah, I just felt so out of whack. And then it just got worse. I just plummeted. Like my mood just went to crap. And yesterday I was crying, feeling like nothing is working, feeling like I haven't accomplished anything. Like, what am I doing? What the hell's going on? I was screaming, yelling at my guides, yelling at spirit, yelling at the universe. Just so much anger, all of this, there was so much fear coming out, so much doubt. And then just like in that mix, there was, old but very, very familiar feelings of shame, feeling ashamed of where I'm at in life, ashamed of basically comparing myself with others, comparing myself with my friends. When it comes to my friends, I have a beautiful group of friends here in Honolulu. And I've got some really good friends in other states as well, other places. But here where I live, I do have this beautiful group of friends, and they are like family. But one of the challenging things for me with these friends has been the fact that they're not into spirituality too much. A little bit here and there. I've got one friend that likes crystals, but he doesn't work with crystals, and he doesn't, he's not exploring the spiritual realm or the subtle energies of crystals. He's not going that deep. And, all of my friends are open to basic spiritual stuff. They're open to things like tarot and Reiki and things like that, which is great. I love that. But I'm on a much deeper level. I've taken the spiritual journey. I mean, I've made this my path. I don't believe it was just my choice either. I feel I was led to this path. I was guided to it. I was put on it, and everything that's happened in my life has led to that path. And really everything in my life has been part of that path. But for many, many years, I didn't know it. I wasn't aware of it. But in the last 4 years, like I've mentioned before, I really committed like full time to my spiritual work, to crystal healing, Reiki, channeling, practicing tarot, all of that stuff. And I've made it my full-time daily work. I don't do any other kind of job. And so that's just on a whole nother level than what my friends are familiar with. And that's understandable, and it's not surprising at all. But it's been hard. It's been challenging to navigate that, and to, have my friends, my family, and then have my spiritual world, my spiritual work. And, it's not something that I can talk about in much detail, because if I were to try to talk about it with them, it would quickly not make a lot of sense, because it would just sound very, very out there. And so I don't talk about it much with them. I don't go into any details. And I do have a couple friends that I can go into detail with. I can go deeper with. But yeah, that polarity of, being deep in the spiritual world and then being with friends and family who are not part of that, that's been a challenge. But what's come with that, the reason I talk about that, or the reason I mention that, is because I've had to work through and process a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears around that, because for many years I was very concerned with what my friends and family thought of me. And so, being on this spiritual path, I've really had to learn how to let go of all of those concerns, all of those worries about what my friends might be thinking or saying, what my family thinks. And part of that has been working through feelings of shame or embarrassment, feeling like, I'm doing such a weird kind of work. I'm not doing the normal job. I'm not doing what anybody would expect. And for me, that has, in the past at least, has easily triggered shame and anxiety and fear. I struggled for many, many years, especially in my 20s. I struggled a lot with shame around work, shame around feeling like I feeling like I was never doing good enough, or never doing enough, never doing what was expected of me, never doing what I was, quote, supposed to be doing. Anyway, some of that came up yesterday. Some of those old fears, those old feelings of shame, maybe even some guilt. And so that came up amidst all that anxiety and the crying and the yelling, and feeling so angry, feeling like, what the hell is going on? I have, like, what am I supposed to do? I was asking God, asking the universe, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me? This is insane. I'm trying to manifest stuff and nothing's showing up. I feel like I'm I've really been working on cultivating an energy of security no matter what, no matter what my external reality looks like. I've been really working on cultivating that, being in an energy of security and freedom and joy, and moving in that flow with peace, and cultivating love, cultivating self-love. And then all of a sudden, I am just feeling like a mess. And I was just, it was rough. It was rough. And today has been a little better, but still kind of challenging emotionally and mentally. And yeah, with the manifestation stuff, not yet seeing what it is that I've been trying to manifest for a while now, that just got to me yesterday. I was seeing the lack. I was seeing all the lack and all the scarcity, all the stuff that I didn't have, that I've been wanting. Like, it was just right in my face. And I was just really broken down about it. And there's always, when things like this happen, when I go through a low point, or when really difficult, uncomfortable emotions come up all of a sudden, like they did, there's always like two voices going on within me. There's my ego, and that's the part of me that's screaming and crying and yelling and swearing and wanting to throw things, and basically thinking all the negative thoughts, saying all the negative stuff, all the things that I know is really not true, but it felt very true in the moment. Like nothing's working, nothing's happening, I've wasted my time, God doesn't care, the universe doesn't care, it's just, the universe is just playing games, nothing matters, all that very, very pessimistic stuff. There's that voice, and then the second voice is the very deep, much, much quieter inner voice. And that inner voice, I've been trying to tune into that today and listen to that more today. And that inner voice is saying, there's a time and a place. Basically, my inner voice is telling me divine timing, which to my logical mind, to my ego, makes no sense at all. Divine timing makes no sense. At least not in the moment. But that inner voice is saying divine timing. There's a time and a place. And it's also telling me that I'm moving through a process, a very deep process of releasing, and a very deep process of awakening and expanding. And even though it feels, at least yesterday, it felt horrible and kind of scary, it's perfectly planned. My inner voice is saying, this is all part of the perfect planning. Just because I'm feeling horrible one day doesn't mean that I suddenly stepped off the path, so to speak. It doesn't mean I suddenly lost track of the flow and my inner. No, it means this is a cleansing. This is a release of some heaviness, some pain, some stuff that's no longer needed. And even though it feels so crappy and looks terrible in the moment, it can still excuse me, it can still be called perfect. And that's actually something I've been saying to myself as like kind of like an affirmation. This moment is perfect. In any given moment. Like even if I'm just sitting here feeling a little bored or not knowing what to do next, I've been saying to myself, this moment is perfect. Because I know I'm aligned. I know I'm moving in the flow. And that is perfect. Spirit, source is perfect. And so I just wanted to share that. I wanted to share one of my low points with you because it's so easy to only make videos and to share personal things when it's positive, when it's fun, when it's exciting. It's very different to share the things that are not fun and positive or that don't feel positive. To share those low points and the doubts and the very negative thoughts and feelings that can sometimes pop up. I just felt guided to share that. Now, I do want to get some messages from this Smokey Quartz. Now, the last time I did a crystal message, I talked about holding the crystal in your receiving hand, which is your non-dominant hand. But then I went back and I was watching more of Hedge Witch Tarot, where I learned this technique, and she actually teaches to hold it in your dominant hand, which is my right hand. So, and I do think that this works a little bit better in the dominant hand. So if you feel like trying this out on your own, hold the crystal in your dominant hand. So right now I'm just gonna tune into the energies of this Smokey Quartz and let's see if there's any messages that come through that I can share for everyone watching. I thank you, Smokey Quartz Spirit, for your energy, for your guidance, and I ask for any messages that you can share with us at this time. Actually, first, I forgot to ask, Smokey Quartz, please enhance your energy for me for clear communication. Thank you. And now I'd like to ask for any messages of guidance or wisdom that you can share with us at this time. Okay, the image that just came into my mind is I'm seeing a person, but it kind of looks like a spirit. And I'm seeing two, well, I'm seeing two spirits, but this is one person, and I'm seeing these spirits coming together into one. And then I'm seeing this person walking on this very narrow line or path in the ground, and walking balanced along this path. Kind of looks like a crack in the earth, and this person's walking along that crack, and he's balanced. And what I'm getting from this image is a message about balancing and uniting our two halves, our two sides, masculine and feminine, light and dark, bringing the two together and coming into balance. Which means honoring both sides, honoring your masculinity and your femininity, because everybody has both. No matter what your gender, we all have both energies. But also honoring our shadow as well as our light. And you know, just for me personally, what came out yesterday and what I've been moving through today is definitely a shadow, definitely a shadow side for me. A very pessimistic, a very anguished, hurting side, fearful. And the shadow is many things. The shadow is not simply negativity or what we would call negative. The shadow is really anything that we would prefer to hide. And it could be something good, it could be something positive, it can also be something that might be experienced in a negative way, but the shadow really is anything that we prefer to keep out of sight of others. And for me, definitely, I don't like having anybody see my, you know, really low points when I'm very emotional or just very, in a very negative space. That's definitely something that I prefer to hide. I feel like the message is that there is wisdom in acknowledging both sides and balancing both sides, because it brings balance. It bringing both of those sides together and shining a light on the shadow, allowing the shadow side to come out and express itself, brings it into balance and harmony with the light. And there is wisdom to be found in that. And there's strength to be found in it. So, that's all I have for today. Hopefully some of my story resonates with you and you can relate. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions down below. And as always, thank you so much for vibing with me.